Hello everyone and welcome back to the hot tub. Today we'll be enjoying a relaxing vacation on Starwatcher. This is a really fun map. I really like this map. It's sort of the aftermath of what you get from playing all that glitters a little too much and you get a little tired of it. You start to get a little creative with the map choices, and this is an excellent option. Some neat little pools here to roam around in. They're shallow enough that bots and vehicles can traverse them, but they also serve as a little bit of a terrain benefit here, a little bit of a terrain disadvantage, perhaps, depending on what angle you approach it from. Choke points, to say the least, from the little angles right here. Very, very exciting stuff. Spawning on the eastern side, representing our blue team, dressed up in Armada, it's Dekirk. Dekirk here, going for a 2 metal extractor, half, well, what is this? 2 metal extractor, windmill, half another metal extractor, solar panel, second solar panel, back into the 3rd metal extractor. It's a very complicated build. It's very technical. I wouldn't recommend it in case you're a new player. This is very high level, but Dekirk, I'm excited to see how you use it to your advantage here in the backline, going for a vehicle bay. Interesting. Spawning on the western side, representing the red team, it's Matthias JJK. Matthias JJK didn't catch the build order here, but I can guess that it went something something triple metal extractor, something something double solar panel, something something vehicle bay. Very standard, very stock and to the point here for Matthias. Excited to see what they do on the front line here for the red team on the northern part of the map. Gonna be up against Kez here. Kez coming in a little bit lower on the blue team's ranking boards here. 19 true skill, 3 chevron though, so very, very experienced at the very least. And gonna be pumping out a little bit of aggression here. We've got a couple of grunts out already, going for a constructor, going for a laser turret, getting all that juicy stuff up and running. Down south here, it's going to be Cologne Height and Gaius Julius up against, let's see here, Sandru and Kaznozija. Now you may have noticed here that none of these flags here bear the red, white, and blue and those 50 stars. Yeah, we're all European today. So I'm sure I'm going to have a wonderful time trying to pronounce all of these names as we get into this match. Enjoy my suffering. Sandru's commander here going to be marching forward, claiming these metal extractors. Don't mind that whatsoever. We also do have a constructor back here. I would definitely recommend getting at least 1 constructor out, if not 2. Looks like we went for 2, so that is all well and good. Pump out a couple of constructors. It's really easy to see them as too expensive to continually produce here, but you really want to get like 4 or 5 of those bad boys up and running. Because what you can do, especially on maps like this where the wind speed is pretty good. Actually, the wind speed is not good on this map. Hold on. 16.4 wind percentage means 9.2 average. That is actually not very good at all. Yeah, this is kind of a hybrid map, I guess. You're going for wind and solar if you want to keep things consistent anyways. But that being said, what you want to do is about 2 constructors building wind turbines, 2 constructors building energy converters, and then 1 or 2 constructors just assisting the base. Now this is really nice. Gaius Julius managing to sneak a couple of rovers into the backline here. Going to manage to snipe at least 1 metal extractor. Might have gotten 1 over here too. Not quite sure. But yeah, at the very least getting some damage done here against Sandru, who is now going to have to rebuild here on the backline. Very annoying, especially for Kaz up here, who is an air player and has no way to meaningfully defend themselves aside from the commander. So if the commander is out of position at any point in time, these rovers can get a ton of value. Blitz is also sneaking through, very nicely done. Get that early damage in. Just remember, these rovers here cost 31 metal, so just killing a metal extractor is worth it. But if you also manage to kill it early and manage to keep it down for a certain amount of time, it's also production that you're limiting. Commander already sacrificed in the backline here for Dekirk, although I say already, but it's just about on time to go into that T2 lab here. You can see it's starting up already. A couple of solar panels, couple of wind turbines, basically all the energy production that we need. Actually a little bit less than I would definitely recommend here. Usually I try to go up to 300 or so, although he did go for the battery, so I guess he's got plenty of time in order to build that. That's an interesting strategy. Yeah, I actually like that quite a bit. You go for the, oh, the commander is standing up dead. That's interesting. Yeah, that's interesting. You build a battery and that allows you to get away with a lot less energy production. I quite like that. I'll have to start looking at that in my own builds. That might be a much more efficient way of teching up there in the back. Lets you avoid building those advanced solar panels here. Bunch of blitzes jump on top of Zaft. Zaft does not have the energy to degun these down, so he is just currently posturing the commander, not actually able to shoot down these blitzes here. Blitzes are looking to re-engage at a different area though, but a massive blitz force from the orange army is headed this way. 13 blitzes up against 7. I'm going to give it to the numbers all the way, not even counting the amount of tremendous damage that was done to these blitzes already. They're all scuffed up, they're all scratched up, none of them are looking very healthy, and indeed all of them will be shut down. That leaves a lot of metal here on the red team side, so it'd be very nice to eat all that up. Definitely not a trade that Sergeant Hirsch was looking for, not worthwhile at all. I hear aggression. Where is it? Up north here, you can see that some pawns are looking to fight some of these grunts here. Grunts, of course, can be microed perfectly, and I really like to see that coming out here from Kez. Kez representing 19 true skill and 3 chevrons, so I definitely expect a little bit of positive micro here. Matthias JJK is already going up to a heavy laser tower. That's pretty interesting. I really don't support bunkering up this early. You tend to dump a whole lot of metal into units like this, although right now it's actually the energy that's really burning them. Yeah, it seems like everybody on this map is not quite sure where the energy should be spent, or rather how it should be produced. We can see solar panels coming out of Matthias here, as well as some advanced solar panels. So we are getting into that sort of T1 transitionary period here, but it's going to be a while. Very expensive to go for these wardens. 4,700 energy. Definitely costs quite a bit, but it is going to allow him now to start blasting down whatever defenses Kez is trying to set up here. Heavy laser turrets, of course, have a higher range than the light laser turrets, and so they will be able to fire quite a bit further away. A little blitz run by here, though. The orange player always looking for a little bit of an opportunity path, and he has found it. Now, some shurikens are brought out, but those blitzes can technically fire up into the air. They look pretty funny when they're doing it, but they can. And these blitzes definitely have potential here. Now, if they can get into the back of Clubsguard's base here, this air player, they can definitely do quite a lot of damage. Not really anything Clubsguard can do about that. The shuriken, of course, are nice, but that's kind of just a band-aid on an open wound. Not really going to be able to fix the problem as much as it is going to be able to stall it out. And you can see with this many blitzes, those shuriken get demolished as soon as they show their face. Yep. Metal storage for Clubsguard goes down, as well as a bunch of metal extractors. Would really love to see these blitzes heading up on this hill, although Clubsguard is posturing the commander on the ramp there, so not really making it easy to go up that direction. So I think for now, this aggression is probably well worth it. Yeah, you can see Clubsguard trying to amass the blitzes, or the shurikens rather, so that they can start to paralyze some of these, but there's just not enough out right now. Managing to paralyze 2 of the blitzes, but it's just not enough. Blitzes are so powerful, especially in the early game, before you hit those really heavy T1 units or the early T2 units. Fiends deal with blitzes quite phenomenally. Hounds in their Gauss mode specifically do pretty good against blitzes as well. You just have to make sure you micro pretty well. Well, eventually the battery explosion will kill those blitzes. That's unfortunate because they probably could have done quite a bit more damage. They probably could have killed this T2 lab here. But all said and done, I think that was probably well worth it to get those blitzes across the map. Certainly opened up this backline here, made it very, very vulnerable. And now there is a force for Kez trying to hold the front so that no more units leak through. In the meantime, Zaft has established a nice little front line here, got a couple light laser turrets, and using the commander to continue to push forward, shutting down Thickdoor, who is bringing out those T1 vehicles here. Currently a couple of artillery that are raining down on Zaft. Nicely done. Little ping on the bottom part of the map here. Not sure exactly what for here. Units! Units! Looks like he's producing units. I think it's fine. A little bit of coaching going down here. Oh, there's all the metal. I was wondering about it. I was like, this player definitely has the resources for it, but I wonder where the metal is at. Currently, all the metal is spent building T1 solar panels. Wouldn't mind seeing these upgraded to advanced solar panels. You can just take 2 of these bad boys and get them building some advanced solar panels like this. You just build an array of them, and they're not going to build very fast, but they will. Them not building fast means that they also won't tax your economy very heavily, which, you know, just means that you can continue to produce units while also upgrading your economy in the backline. Couple that with a couple of energy converters here and there, and you're not only going to be growing your energy production, but also your metal production, which is always a treat. The bar commander can have a little bit of metal as a treat. Radar jammers thrown up here, the Castro short-range jamming device. A little bit cheaper to build these Castros than it is to build the, I think they're called Sneaky Pete's for Armada. Yeah, Sneaky Pete's. Bit of an odd name, but yeah. The Sneaky Pete's, of course, can cloak, though, so you don't know that there's a jammer right there. It's a bit of a trade-off. Honestly, I don't know if I think it's worth it. I probably would rather just have this uncloaked and have it be a little bit cheaper, just so I could throw them down a little sooner. But all things considered, not really that big of a problem. As far as incomes go right now, you can see that the red team is in the advantage. They have about 5,000 energy coming in and roughly 200 metal, give or take, based on reclaim, whereas the blue team is down to only about 3,000 energy and 160 metal. The red team definitely has an advantage. You can see that partially reflected here by Matthias, pushed pretty far forward here, but also just the amount of T2 metal extractors that are going up all over the place. You can see these T2s being handed out to everybody around the map, trying to distribute the wealth as it is. And that's one way to get up into that higher tech tier. Eating up these T1 solar panels, also very nice. You'll love to see it. I would expect nothing less from a 28 true skill. It's certainly where you get into that range where you have to start looking at how to be hyper efficient. I like to use my commander to eat them up. It's 300 build power, which is definitely more than enough to eat those up pretty quickly, and you can do quite a lot. Some bombers back here for Kaz Nozeja. I'm gonna get so much flack for that. The yellow player has a couple of bombers out, but has not used them. Wondering when they're going to become useful here. There are some fighters out from Clubsguard, who is the air player for the blue team. So I would love to see those fighters intercepting those bombers when the time is right. It's a little bit of a tricky gambit, right? You have to make sure your fighters kind of go around the enemy fighters and ambush the bombers rather than the fighters. Again, you never want to fight the enemy's fighters. You want to fight their bombers or their eco or something like that. Punch them in the wallet, not in the teeth. You can always buy a new teeth, but you can't buy a new wallet. Gandhi. I think Gandhi said that. Missile trucks have been a nuisance down south here. You can see we only have 8 missile trucks, but it's still enough to just tickle down any of these light units. None of the assault units, the grunts or the fiends, or any of those units can really get too close before they get melted down. And the Janus are an excellent little touch. Just the nicest little touch on top, just to make sure that if there's a grouped up cluster of units, they're not going to be able to jump on top of a lot of these missile trucks here. Rocketbot's taking a decent engagement though. They can engage a little bit better just because they're a little more mobile than those missile trucks, but not by much. They're still very slow, and their rockets fire very, very slowly. They kind of hover in the air. The end of the day, it is the end of the day, and those units will be forced to retreat back here. I think they are just taking an inefficient trade, and so I don't mind them retreating back at all. I think Sandrew can well use the metal that is left on the ground here. Yes, we hear you, Thictor. We hear you. We also see a bunch of medium tanks rolling through the middle of the map. Thank you for pointing that out for me. I was busy talking about the economic advantages of killing your enemy's units and then eating their corpses, but I guess we can take a moment to look at this medium tank cluster here, sent out by Le Gaulle. I think that's a French flag. Could be wrong about that. Usually I'm wrong about that. I just take a guess in the dark, and you know, like a fist fight at midnight, things get quite difficult in the dark. Blitz is here to deal with these medium tanks. These medium tanks have been kind of lacking the aggression here. Le Gaulle does not want to send them in. I think you really should, though. I think these medium tanks are more than enough to punch through the defenses here from Sergeant Hirsch, and I think with just a little bit of pressure here, these could definitely do quite a lot of damage. Yep, looks like Thictor is pinging exactly where those medium tanks should go, scaring them off with the rapid and violent noises. Those tanks are not used to hearing the pings. They've sort of broken through the fourth wall here. Hirsch, Commander. He's trying to get his teammates to help out here. Hirsch in the backline did go up to, Thictor did go up to a T2 lab here. Hasn't upgraded his own metal extractors though, which is a bit odd. Maybe just didn't have time to build a T2 constructor. Definitely worthwhile to get those metal extractors up and running. 4 times the metal comes out of each one of those. Oh, and here we can see those fiends being a monster against those blitzes. They really do melt them down quite quickly. Klopperfeld, no, Klopferfeld, not Klopperfeld, Klopferfeld, has got a very, very far forward T2 lab here. Interesting. I don't hate it. Whoops. Sorry about that. It's my laundry alarm. Time to go change over the sheets. I'll wait until I finish casting. I think this is more important. Medium tank numbers are getting... Oh, that was an excellent degun there. But medium tank numbers are still pretty high here in the middle of the map. Definitely enough to snipe that commander. I think we should have probably gone for that kill. Yeah, there's just like a general lack of aggression from a Maroon player here. I feel like he really needs to commit these forces in some direction or another. Very quickly, those T2 units are going to come out, and these tanks are just going to be way less effective all around. So I really think it's time. Nigel asking for a T2. Interesting. You suck is all open your eyes. Thictor, apparently a very toxic player here. Trying to coach his team while also playing the game. Usually it's better to choose one or the other. But deciding to do both is always an option. Just cuts down your APM, usable for your actions here. Yeah, that lack of those T2 metal extractors is just really killing Thictor back here. He could definitely do with quite a bit more metal if he just got one of those T2 constructors running around upgrading metal extractors. Just one on its own won't upgrade them very quickly, but you don't really want to upgrade very quickly if you need units. You wanna kind of distribute that payload here. Sergeant Hirsch has the commander in the right spot here, manages to de-gun down those tanks and flash down whatever remains. Mauser forced to retreat here, makes them very, very vulnerable. They cannot fire backwards, so they're going to be quite prone to fire here from these lightning tanks. Eventually they turn around and they will be able to shut down these tanks. That was a decent engagement. About as good as you could hope for, I would say. Now we see Legol starting to move these tanks forward. Go, 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 go. I think it's time that these move into the base here. Time for Thictor to start spamming once more. Medium tanks are so cowardly this game. They really could just shut down this entire base. Sergeant Hirsch, I mean the commander of all things, could probably explode here if we get those medium tanks on top of him. That would take out the majority of the base, if not all of it. Zaft using the commander to eat up everything down here. Southern line is basically held, all these beamer turrets, dissuading essentially any aggression there. This area is melting though. Yeah, those T2 bots are out. Those Sheldon can shell away at long distance here. You can get quite an excellent trade. Very nice to see. If I do this, and then I do this. Oh, it will. Okay. I can there we go. Sort of find their perspective, although these guys aren't really doing anything. Oh yeah, I have to use the arrow keys. Love to see WASD integration for that. Medium tanks here, trying to take an engagement. Excellent little D-gun there. Manages to take down most of those tanks and shut them off. That is quite nice. Hounds here, starting to fire on the commander as well, lobbing that projectile all the way across the map. Looks like across the map from here. We know it's not actually that much of a range, but it sure looks pretty impressive from this angle. Mauser taking a pretty bad engagement with these hounds just by the numbers alone. It's very loud when I get up close like this. I like these hovering cameras. It reminds me of like a helicopter, like a news helicopter, floating over some sort of epic scene. Well, medium tanks catching these missile trucks is quite nice. Yeah, it's a pretty good engagement there. A bunch of these tanks will go down though. Those lightning tanks can do quite a lot of damage. They're very, very good against medium tanks just because they can ricochet their shots, so you can see it bounces around us, sort of like an AoE attack. But also it just does a lot of damage and it can burst them down quite quickly. Still no T2 mexes. That's such a bummer. Just for reference here, Thictor is on 17-ish metal per second. If he upgraded all that metal, it would quadruple, right? You'd be on four times whatever your current metal production is. So if we round up to 20, he'd be at almost 80 metal per second. Think about how many more units he could produce here. That's all I'm saying. These tanks find their way behind the enemy lines. With those beamer turrets, their heads are on a swivel, and they're more than happy to burst down some of these tanks here. Taking them down, and that is going to be all she wrote for those medium tanks there, coming out of our maroon player here, who has gone up to T2, by the way. Getting himself a nice little T2 economy, building a couple of fusion reactors. Very nicely done. Would love to see these T1s eaten up here. No reason to keep those around. Especially if you're going up to fusion reactors. Do we have arbiters in this mix? We sure do. Arbiters are a lovely inclusion to any sort of siege composition, because when your enemy has units parked like this, you can just use those arbiters to bombard them from a long distance. The only other thing I would definitely recommend is a spy bot. Just throw a single spy bot in there and park it somewhere near the enemy's front line. It's going to allow your arbiters to continually fire despite their radar coverage, and it's really the best way to get vision there. Meanwhile, just south of there, it looks like we had a commander death. Klopferfeld did lose the commander as well as that forward T2 lab. Oh no, the T2 lab is right here. Yeah, okay, so he started out in this position, moved forward to here, and then built the T2 lab. This is actually in a fairly decent position. It's a little bit risky because if this northern area loses, then you're kind of in a tricky situation. But all things considered, this actually has worked out pretty well for this game, and it does allow him to get those T2 units out very quickly. A little bit of a scout coming out here by Kaz. Very nicely done, sending those scouting planes across. Discovers that there is very little anti-air sort of in this part of the map here. So could certainly try and sneak some bombing through there. Fighters are all placed down south here, so one interesting tactic would be to send your fighters down south to kill their fighters and then send your bombers up north. Lightning tank run by here, almost entirely unaddressed. Yep. Oh yeah, it looks like it caught Bari Island in a bit of an unfortunate timing here. He was going up to that T2 lab at the moment and caught him without his lab in production. Now there's Janice's out, very good, but they don't fire very frequently, and so you're going to be in a tough spot here, waiting for those to recharge. And the lightning tanks will just roll on by. Taking out a whole bunch of that infrastructure, shutting down the T2 lab. It's very expensive to dump a bunch of metal and then have the lab shut down there. Although we do have 2 T1 vehicle labs, so we could eat both of those up to about halfway fund a new lab. If you're planning on not producing for a while, you might as well eat up your T1 labs and go for T2. That's the gist of it. Amphibious tank here, also built. What a wide variety of tanks we have. We have the Tigers, we have the Tsars, we have the Poison Arrows, we have the Lashers, we have all sorts of stuff. The Wolverine. You'll love to see it. It's quite a composition. It's a very Cortex composition for sure. Poison Arrow does a lot of damage. I'm constantly impressed with the amphibious units here for Cortex. They can do a lot of work. The alligator specifically, I brought this up in another cast, but the alligator can survive a hit from a sharpshooter. It goes to like 20% health or so, which is nuts. Like the sharpshooter is one of the highest spikes of damage in the game. It is wild that the T1 medium amphibious tank from Cortex can survive a hit from the alligator. It's just bizarre. Yeah, Hound's not specifically very good against gunships here. Technically, they can fire up at them. Again, it's like, we can technically hit that air up there. Really? Would it be effective? No, not at all. Oh, well, we might as well take some pot shots. So yeah, you can see they're like sort of scuffed up here, but all said and done, yeah, not really, not tremendously effective, I guess I would say. Aerial engagement here. The purple fighters are pushed onto the, well, rather, they will push forward to try and shoot down some of these gunships. They don't really get very many, and it allows the yellow player to clean up the air, meaning that we're ready to go for a bombing run if we wanted to. I missed whatever bombing happened earlier. I didn't see it, but it wasn't game ending, because otherwise I think I would have noticed. Oh my god. Dear God. A solid 7,000 metal, almost a, I mean, that's like 2/3 of a way through a advanced fusion reactor for a measly 920 energy per second. Dear Lord. Yeah, go for a fusion reactor. In fact, go for 4 fusion reactors, because you could afford it if you just eat up all of your solar panels here. This is a ridiculous amount of T1 solar panels. This is the reason why I warn people not to go into T1 solar panels. You just get addicted to it, and you just can't escape from it. It's like a curse. Meanwhile, D-Kirk is going to an advanced fusion reactor. Much better usage of metal here. Advanced energy converters are quite nice as well. They help you churn out just a little bit more metal per second, but once you start really scaling the ecos in the backline, they can definitely turn for the better. Massive tank army is built again here. Grave robbers patching everything up. I like that as well. Quakers included in here, so that's nice. That gives this composition a little bit more long range firepower. It helps deal with those Sheldons, those what are they called? The Hounds, just anything like that. Now, unlike this composition, which is consisting entirely of Mauser, it was nice to have that armor included in here. This composition is very vulnerable as soon as anything starts to run towards it. The Tigers are very nice for shutting down anything like this, and yeah, I think these Mausers definitely didn't take the trade they were hoping for there. Beamer turrets trying to shoot all this down with their lasers. The laser turrets do less damage at range, so that's one reason why laser is so ineffective against air. That, and I also think they just have a bit of a nerf placed on them. Poison arrows trying to climb up this hill, being a nuisance. Nicely shut down, though. Poison arrows are quite expensive. I believe they're about 1,000 per production. Yeah, 1,050 per production. 29,000 energy, too. Not to be discarded there. I feel like this composition could push forward, though. We could certainly shut down Sergeant Hirsch's little forward facility here. Going for Centurion, I really think he needs to eco like a madman at this point. This match is sort of stalled out. These guys are just dumbfiring. Not sure what the point of this is. Oh, losing a whole bunch of them to the Hounds here. Yikes. Not the engagement we were hoping for. Not sure what was going on there, but yeah, those will lose their lives, and that is a very costly engagement. Now, this Rattlesnake has been putting in good work. 4 kills to its name. Tons of damage on a lot of these Hounds. Not bad, but certainly it alone won't be enough to shut down all of this aggression. Hounds, of course, can outrange any T1 defense. So, yeah, these beamers are not really going to hold up tremendously well here. See, they can melt down tanks pretty quickly, though. The whole thing about the beamers is that they do a steady current of damage. They don't, it's not a big spike of damage. It's very methodical and over time. It's not a bad thing, but it is a little bit weird. Building a whole bunch of them right next to each other makes sense, though. Clonenheit is not worried, though. He's just letting his commander sit around over here, not worried about degunning any of this. Just taking it on the chin here. I think he just got that alert that his commander is taking damage, and 2 seconds later it will explode into smithereens. That's why it's important to zoom out a whole lot of the times, because you might miss action just like this. Tons of Tiger tanks pushing through the northern section here from Matthias, who manages to take down some metal extractors, also gets some AA trucks underneath the air forces here for the purple player, meaning that a lot of that will go down without trading out for air, which is really what you need. Excellent inclusion, that anti-air there. Commander goes down in the middle of that batch of tanks. This is a tremendous amount of damage going down right here. Can we snipe the anti-nuke? That's quite nice. That is the only anti-nuke around this entire area. Is there a nuke charged? I don't see one. See if these tanks rather can do anything else here. Bombers were produced. A hailstorm will be shot down by the AA, though. Razorback is out. Razorback probably going to be enough to clean up all of this, but the damage has already been done. And now you can see the fighters moving in with the bombers following suit behind it. Those blizzards looking to take out Clubsguard's base, I'm guessing here. Did they see Clubsguard, I wonder? I wonder if they did find the commander there. Nope. All right. Looks like a lot of those bombers will be shot down there. What even shot those down? Was there anti? Oh, there is anti-air. There's a flak turret here. Anti-air flak turret does manage to shoot down those bombers, sparing Clubsguard for now. But that is definitely a butthole clencher for sure. Seeing those bombers flying towards your base after you've just watched your entire air force get obliterated. Nice little engagement over here. Excellent concave, basically perfect. Couldn't ask for better here. Those Hounds will go down. Very efficient trade. Southern side did hold on. A couple of bulls managed to push back here. Consoles will start building some more rattlesnakes to hold the lines as well. Middle of the map is chock full of units. There's T1, T2. Do we have any T3 yet? Doesn't look like it. Yeah, no T3. Wow, that's a huge waste of metal going for that many gauntlets, or agitators rather. Yeah, go T2, my man. It's time to go T2. T2 is so good. It really is. Way better than T1. I think eventually this T2 lab will fall. It's slowly taking fire here, eventually reduced to ruin. T2 units are also still looking strong. That Starlight is basically the only weapon you have that's very effective against this Razorback here, so you want to keep it alive. Keep it alive. Oh, it will go down, exploding all the friendly units around it as well. Razorbacks are so beefy. Very difficult to deal with. The first Razorback you see is definitely a heart-dropping moment. Meanwhile, some Marauder have decided to run by here. Very nicely done, using the mobility on those Marauder to sneak them past the enemy defenses. Gonna find a nice little eco center over here. Hailstorm's trying to get a nice little bombing run, but they don't find it, and for now, the light anti-air missile on those Marauders will start working on those heavy bombers. decent, more decent bombing runs, but still not perfect. Fusion reactor will go down. That's a lot of energy down the drain here for Club's Guard. Dealing with these marauders in your backline is very hard, especially as the air player. What can you do but bomb them and know that every once in a while they are getting chipped down in their health? Razorback finally spared over here to shut down these marauders. It's not a perfect solution, but it's the best one we've got. Whoa, looks like the commander will go down over here. Was that a self-destruct or did something take that out? Not exactly sure, but either way, Club's Guard's base just exploded into flames. Nothing left for him to do here. Oh, did he self-destruct and then leave the game? That's very mature. Wow, alright, epic. Yeah, Razorbacks are spared over here to continue trying to fight off these marauders. I get it, by the way. You know, it's a terrible feeling to see those marauders ravaging your backline, and all you can do is watch because you've gone into air. Meanwhile, T3 is finally coming out of D-Kirk space, but it's a little bit too late. There's just too much pressure all around the map as now Tigers are ravaging the southern lanes over here. Lightning tanks are pushing through the middle of the map. Looks like we've already had some bulls sweeping across the center, and the red team is in a dominating position here. You can see that metal advantage has only grown here, where they're now pulling roughly 900 metal per second, where the blue team is hovering around 400 to 500. Nuclear bomber brought out to shut down some of those T1 solar panels. Very epic. Love to see those T1 solar panels nuked into oblivion. Shows them, teaches them their lesson. Meanwhile, 3 wide wind turbines will chain react, and so those will all light up immediately. Looks like a bunch of units will be handed over here to Clonenheit, who is now in charge of the entire southern defense as it collapses. Always hilarious to see that. You just hand over all of your units after you've exploded. What am I supposed to do with these? That's usually the reaction. The answer is the game is already won, and there's not a lot more you can do except that it's your turn to die twice. Bari Island trying to hold back these marauders here. Marauders are getting a decent trade. Wow, I can't believe we got this many agitators up and running. Let's just watch here as these agitators do nothing to stop this marauder push. And the marauders will just walk on by. A single marauder has gone down so far. 2, 3. 3 marauders have gone down. 4. 4 marauders went down for six agitators worth of metal. I think that's 8,000 metal total. Please do not build this many agitators. Please build rattlesnakes or persecutors if you're looking for some sort of defensive structure. Okay, these marauders are going to need to be dealt with, though. They are pushing pretty far here. There's 4 of them left, and 2 of them are pretty badly scuffed up. They are going to walk right into Zaf's line of fire, though. Nice D-gun. Excellent D-gun there. Shuts down those marauder. Excellently played there. Southern side of the map has been swept away here. You can see the remains of the base that once belonged to Clonenheit and the other lime green player. Resbots here eating up everything on the front lines as well. Very nicely done. It's important to remember that if you get damage, you not only want to resurrect your own units, but you also want to try and either resurrect the enemy's units or reclaim their structures that you damage. It's very, very important. Razorback's getting a decent trade here against some of these hounds. Not bad. Again, this the blue player is going to be difficult to kill because of the T3 that he has, but everyone on the red team is able to contribute, so you can see the economy just can't hold up at this point, where there's just so much metal going into the red team's economy and not nearly enough going into the blues. A couple of sneaky hounds over here managed to make their way around and try and harass Thickdoor's base, or the remains of it anyways. Razorbacks trying to burst down all the static defense, as well as the marauders here. Should be light work for these heavy T3 units, as yeah, a lot of this will go down rather quickly. Get us around, start moving these units like this. Get them in a surround pattern so they can all fire inwards. It's going to increase your damage per second by quite a lot. Don't AFK them. I think that's probably not an excellent decision here. Hounds, by the way, have moved forward and will start firing on the base here of Thickdoor. Trying desperately to keep this facility alive. Oh, a second away from getting that Starlight out. The production facility will go down, that T2 vehicle bay. That hurts. That hurts pretty bad. Salt on the wound, for sure. Now the Hounds will start to move forward in here and try to shut down more of Thictor's base, but already the damage has been done. T3 units are now headed out for the red team, as well as a massive army of Tigers, as well as a, oh no, that's a Blue Marauder. There we are. Enrico has gone for a Razorback up north here to try and hold the line. Would love to see him shutting down this area up here, and then just starting to move it down south. Oh, there's some sneaky dogs. Thictor is definitely going to get his ping privileges revoked after this game for sure. Target the E-converters. There we go. Very nicely done. Oh, we'll pop off all of the build power as well, shutting down the production for the blue player, and now these Hounds are in the back line with no counter. Bulls are trying to fix the job. Yep, the Tigers continue swarming through, though, and that will be all she wrote for the blue team. D. Kirk indeed taps out here, and that is it's going to be about it. Fusion reactors going down. Bombers trying to shut down whatever of this that they can. Looks like Clone and Height will take over the entire facility here. Not that there's a whole lot left to take over. No worries, he won't be there in the next game. Apparently they're going to ban kick someone. Sergeant Hirsch is the last remaining commander here. That is the win condition for Beyond All Reason matches. You have to kill all your enemy commanders. And Sergeant Hirsch is the last commander here. Going to be walking it away to go eat up some of this wreckage over here. Meanwhile, his base will come under siege by a bunch of units of all shapes and sorts. Yep, there goes the facility that now belongs to Clone and Height. Was originally built by D. Kirk. Here goes the last remaining base of Sergeant Hirsch, who is now retreating the commander back into the rear of the map, trying to hide it desperately. His team pleading for him not to be a dick. Oh, he surrenders without destroying the commander. This is an awkward phase where nobody in the game is left playing, and yet the match continues. I think what we do here is, as one of the players still in the match, you take the commander and then you self-destruct it. A lot of these players have just thrown down their controller, left the match, and walked away from their computers without resigning. Meaning the match will go on until this commander is killed by these orange Razorbacks. In the end, Red will manage to snatch victory from what actually looks like a pretty close match there, overwhelming the blue team one by one, collapsing their lanes, and eventually claiming that all-precious W. You can see these lines here, just showing how powerful the red team's eco-scaling was. Eventually, enough of the red team was just miles above the blue team as far as eco-scaling go. I have a feeling that it was probably because of those T1 solar panels. Hope you enjoyed watching this match. This is a bit of a longer one, but it was very fun. Well, I guess it was only 36 minutes. Felt like a longer one because I was just anticipating the end for so long there. Whoops. But I do hope you enjoyed, and I will see you in the very next video. Peace out.